Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our webinar for the month of August. Today, we'll be talking about Oracle EBS's Advanced Supply Chain Planning. ASCP stands for Advanced Supply Chain Planning, Oracle E-Business Suite's comprehensive internet-based planning solution that decides when and where supplies should be deployed within an extended supply chain. Oracle EBS ASCP can help organizations create the most efficient plans that can be accessed from anywhere and can be iteratively improved. Today, we will be focusing on the prerequisites for an organization to fully and effectively utilize the vast capabilities of Oracle E-Business Suite Advanced Supply Chain Planning.
Hi all, good evening. So welcome to today's webinar for Oracle EBS Advanced Supply Chain Planning. Myself, 𝐿, who will be a speaker for this webinar. So let's move ahead. So this is the agenda that has been planned for today's webinar. So we'll be looking to the introduction and features of Oracle ASCP, prerequisites of ASCP in Oracle EBS, process flow of Oracle EBS ASCP with an example, benefits of Oracle EBS ASCP, and the best practices and tips for success for having a good ASCP implementation. So moving into the introduction to ASCP. So as name suggests itself, ASCP stands for Oracle Advanced Supply Chain Planning, which is a comprehensive planning solution within the Oracle EBS that helps organizations optimize their supply chain operations. So ASCP is designed in a way that it will address the complexities of modern supply chains by providing advanced planning capabilities that enable businesses to meet customer demands efficiently while minimizing cost and risk. Now, this particular slides gives an overview of value chain planning. So value chain planning is a comprehensive solution that is complete, open, integrated, and modular. And it spans the breadth and depth of all the planning problems. As you can see in this particular diagram, we can see three main sections, which is predict, which is shape, and align. So whenever an organization is able to predict and shape these predictions and align with the business needs, a efficient planning system can be generated. So the demand signal management or a demand management is where an organization needs to predict what is going to happen. Then once we have predicted, we can shape these demands into a plan called supply and distribution planning or trade promotion management. Then once the prediction is shaped, then we need to align to our business requirement. So there will be collaboration with vendor managed inventories. There will be plan scheduling and monitoring. There will be order promising. There will be service parts planning. So these all components coming together will provide a good and efficient planning for an organization, which helps them to minimize the cost and risks and to achieve operational efficiencies and meet the customer demands on time. And it also helps to improve the performance, and it mitigates the risk management and improves the sales and operations planning. So this is how in Oracle, the Advanced Supply Chain Planning Server shares informations and data with other Oracle modules. So here, looking into this particular flowchart, we are able to see that Oracle ASCP Planning Server is linked with order management. So Oracle order management is the source of the demand. That means the sales orders or the customer demand that is coming, sales history, all these fulfillment details will be available from the order management module. So all these details, all this information all this data flow happens from Oracle order management to the ASAP server and vice versa. So once we give the demand, just like the previous slide, we need to shape it. So once all the supply and demand is done, the output will be again shared with the order management module. Similarly, we are having integrations with Oracle inventory, Oracle manufacturing, work in process, bill of materials, purchasing, shop floor management, and multiple modules, which helps an organization to completely utilize the functionalities to provide an efficient planning for their organization. So here, in this particular example, we can see that Oracle inventory is the source from where the advanced supply chain collects data related to items, on-hand quantities, shipping networks, and other organization structure. All these data will be collected and collated where we will be getting our demand, plan, and it will result in a global order promising. That means all these will result in the generation of a order which is going to be on time and reach the customer on time. So this planning is something that is going to improve the efficiency of an organization in meeting the customer demands and customer needs. Now, this particular example where we can see a comprehensive distribution planning. So having the appropriate level of detail is also important for distribution. So distribution is a key area where we need to have that distribution of materials from a warehouse to regional DCs, from there to customers. So all these details are under the comprehensive planning. So for distributors, we provide holistic supply and distribution planning that allows to plan all distributions, determine the sourcing and allocations, and automates the transfer and replenishment process. So as you can see, the demand will be always with the customers. So once to meet these demands, there should be a distribution plan. So for this, there should be a distribution planning. So from suppliers, the material will be transported to the warehouses. From there, it can move to the regional warehouses. From there, it will be manufactured. From there, it can be moved to the suppliers. So as we use ACP, this demand will be streamlined with the help of a distribution plan, which will efficiently allocate the resources, allocate the materials, and distribute to the customers. So an end-to-end supplier-customer relationship has been established using ACP. So all other modules, including Oracle Transportation Management, can also be integrated with ACP to streamline the transportation functionality as well. Next is another ACP enablement that we get called dynamic fulfillment decision. So dynamic fulfillment decision helps in automating decisions for planners to identify where and how to meet the insufficient availability, how we can overcome this insufficient availability in a location. So how ACP will help is that there are multiple locations in an organization. There is a requirements, there are availability. So if you see this particular examples, we can see that in this particular location, the required quantity is higher, but the available quantity is less. So how ACP will improve it is that ACP will check availability of materials throughout the locations, and it will allocate the supply to customers. So whenever there is a shortage of material in a hub or in a regional DC, ACP will check the availability and allocate those materials dynamically to the location where there is an insufficient availability. So the consumption forecast will be based on a demand. So whenever there's demand, a consumption forecast will be generated, and dynamically we will be able to generate demands and move the materials using our transportation modules to this particular location where the insufficient availability is there. So from a different manufacturing plan or a manufacturing DC, the dynamic allocation happens to the corresponding regions. Now, another important ACP concept or deck is the promise order on time. That means 24/7 global order promising rate is available using ACP. And just like the previous slide we saw in VCP, we are having global order promising, which promises orders based on material, manufacturing, transportation, and supplier capacity. And it also looks at a global statement of availability across all facilities. That means if you have multiple facilities, ACP will check in all these facilities the global availability of a material and helps to deal with the allocation and backlog of scheduling problems. So here, the orders will be promised on the availability of material or the manufacturing capacity of a plant. Similarly, a transportation capacity or a supplier capacity, how much the supplier is capable of producing a raw material and supplying the raw material on time. All these capacities also will be analyzed by Oracle ACP. And based on the channel, customer, and product, the allocation of the supply and capacity will be utilized in Oracle ACP. Using this particular functionality, the delivery performance of a sales order to a promised date improves drastically. There are multiple examples of customers where utilization of ACP has improved the delivery on time to the customer by more than 95%. Another important feature or of ACP is the increased shop floor throughput. So once we have planned and promised the orders, another important aspect that we need to keep in mind is that we should ensure that our shop floor dispatch list and progress reflect reality. That means it should not be like we are creating an order that it will automatically give an output. It's not like that. We need to have a thorough knowledge and how much the shop floor is optimized to maximize the production. So that visibility also should be there. So for that, Oracle production scheduling, which is also part of ACP, helps to maximize the production throughput by detecting bottlenecks. So there might be bottlenecks that happens, whether there is a change of scenarios, whether there are machine breakdowns or supply or and shortage of resources, or if there are any alternate resources that need to be used, whether there are any issues with routings, operations. So all these bottlenecks will also be calculated by ASCP to optimize maximum production in our shop floors. Similarly, all the elements of the shop floor will also be optimized, whether the work centers, the lead time, the sequence of steps, that means the operation steps, the production campaigns, the batching of items, all this also will be considered using ASCP to increase our shop floor efficiency. And it also helps in releasing the most optimum schedule. The optimal schedule should be there for producing a finished good. For that also, Oracle ACP helps to schedule for OPM, whether it is a process manufacturing, whether it is a discrete manufacturing, or whether it is semiconductor manufacturing. All these processes will also get scheduled. And Oracle ACP also provides a comprehensive and integrated manufacturing planning and scheduling process through tight integration between Oracle EBS modules as well as Oracle ASCP, including the production scheduling as well. So as you can see, for each production plan, so whenever there is a global order that is available, there should be a production plan to meet the need for this particular product. So once this production plan includes the decision on what facilities produce what items, For example, the order is for a particular item and the production plan has been defined in organization 1, then the system will analyze which production plan will be used for manufacturing this particular product. And Oracle ASCP will feed this information to production schedules. Then this production schedule will refine the plan to a detailed schedule and sequence, which will then become the next step, which will then become the starting point of the next step. So for example, if you are having multiple facilities, Oracle ASCP will identify which plant will make what products and when. It will also build the demands based on it will also build the supply based on the capacity or shortages. It also checks for alternate facilities or suppliers and whether we can do any other processes or routing to get this done. And all this production plan will be collected and pulled to the production schedule, where the sequence of the production will be generated and all the detailed production constraints will be set up and the schedule will be executed. Similarly, if the product is manufactured in a different plant, same production plan steps will be followed and a different production schedule will be set up for organization 2. Because the capacity of product organization 1 might be different from organization 2 and might be different from organization 3. So ASCP consolidates all this data in the production plan and provides us with the best production schedule to begin the production to meet the demands. So there is a complete end-to-end integration between manufacturing planning and scheduling with the global order promising. Now, so multi-enterprise collaborative planning. Okay, so supply chain deals with the collaboration of all entities that work together: customers, contract manufacturers, suppliers, the organization, ourselves. So everyone is linked together in a supply chain cycle. So using ASCP, multiple enterprise collaborative planning enables to respond more quickly to demand signals by routing the demand signals by the effect on commitments between the key trade partners. So whenever a customer has a demand, the immediate ripple effect should affect the supplier as well, because the supplier also should have the visibility that a customer demand has been generated, so that customers' capacity to produce raw materials should also be identified. So that collaboration with customers and suppliers will always improve the supply chain visibility, and Oracle ASCP provides that link from the customer to the supplier. And we can also leverage the automation of this process to reduce the inventory cost and improve fulfillment. We can have customer managed inventories, supplier managed inventories, where the inventory cost or the stock cost get reduced. So whenever there's a use, the suppliers can give their raw materials, and whenever a customer want to take an item from us, they can use it. So reducing inventory cost and improve fulfillment, and it also react to supply chain exceptions. Just like we mentioned earlier, maybe there will be some exceptions that happens in our processes, maybe in a transportation issues or waterfall analysis. All these analysis will be done using supply chain managed ASCP and improves our supply chain visibility. So for example, in this particular representation, we can see a demand has been generated to the system. So the organization will have a forecast. And once the supply chain plan is run, the demand will just convert to a supply. So means the supplier will supply the required materials and the organization will produce the products and it will be given to the supplier, customer. So all these entities and key trading partners will be linked throughout the supply chain, improving the relationship with the customers, relationship with the suppliers, and more importantly, the supply chain visibility will be more, resulting in an end-to-end smooth transportation of a raw material, converting into a finished good, and delivering into a customer. Another crucial factor is reacting quickly to supply chain events. Okay. And we can enable suppliers to manage inventory for us. And we can also manage the inventory for supply customers. So Oracle supply chain supports both supplier as well as customer managed inventory scenario, which can include consigned inventories as well. So once we create an agreement with the supplier or the customer, we set the parameters and use a process called collaborative planning to automate the replenishment. So replenishment is another important factor for an organization that makes sure that the flow of goods to and from an organization remains smooth. So for that, we'll be able to set up a collaborative planning, which will automate the replenishment process either from the suppliers. So once the supplier is replenishing, they will be replenishing for us. Similarly, we will be replenishing the same for the customer. So what advantage it brings is that once the inventory availability goes down in our organization, the supplier will get a notification that the inventory has gone down. We need to replenish this. So the supplier will replenish this particular organization stock. Similarly, whenever the customer also will get notified, similarly, the organization will get notified when the customer's inventory will also get depleted. That means the organization will be able to replenish the customer inventory as well. So that visibility will ensure that the safety stocks are maintained. There will be no stockouts of material, and there will be also no overstocking of materials in the organization as well. So in both these cases, there will be always integration between order management and purchasing module. Like purchase orders and sales orders will be always generated for these kinds of transactions. Those are even end-to-end track to the transaction level, invoicing, documents, payments, all these transactions, historical data, everything will be available for us using ACP. Now, some of the features that ACP provides are demand planning, supply planning, inventory optimization. There is real-time planning and responsiveness, scenario planning, global supply chain optimization, collaboration and integration. So in Oracle ACP, it offers a robust demand forecasting tool which utilizes historical data. So the historical data, the market trends, the customer behavior will also be analyzed to create accurate demand plans. It also supports collaborative planning by integrating inputs from sales, marketing, and operation teams. Similarly, ACP will integrate material requirements plan, which is called as MR planning, and capacity planning to generate realistic supply plans. There will be not any boasted supply plan or any exaggerated supply plan. It will always create a realistic supply. It considers resource constraints such as production capacity, labor utilization, labor availability, and supplier lead times as well. Inventory optimization. With Oracle ACP, organizations can maintain optimal inventory level across their supply chain. So inventory optimization is something that is very important for an organization's success, because if the inventory stock is maintained correctly without any overstocking or understocking, this particular tool will minimizes the inventory stock outs as well as it balances the supply and demand. That is an important thing coming into ACP. It will always balance the supply and demand, eventually reducing the carrying cost and ensuring that products are available whenever needed. So inventory optimization is a key feature of ACP, and ACP also provides real-time planning, real-time visibility to the entire supply chain, enabling organizations to respond quickly to changes in demand. So if any changes in demands are happening, Oracle ACP will provide a real-time visibility to the changes in demands, because ACP is collecting data throughout the modules, whether it is sales order, whether it's a marketing campaign. From there also the demand can be collated and a real-time visibility will be available. Another important feature is a what if scenario. Okay, so for planners, there should be a process called what if scenario, where the planners will be able to evaluate what will happen if a particular strategy is utilized. Okay, so there should be a process. So sometimes we'll be having a strategy that is already being kept for our demands. Maybe one reason or the other, we want to change the strategy. Okay, so there should be an option without implementing that. What will happen if we are having this particular strategy? So that kind of facilities is also available. This capability will support risk management by enabling organizations to prepare for potential supply chain disruptions. So whenever there is a strategy change, it might cause disruption in the supply chain, entire supply chain process. So to avoid that, there is a what if scenario that we can generate, so that there will be a complete view of what is going to happen if we change this particular scenario. As I mentioned earlier, there are collaborations and integrations happening throughout the modules, which I will explain in the further parts. Then we are having a global supply chain optimization. So when we are planning, we are not planning for a single organization within our entity. We are planning it for throughout the region, throughout the geographies, throughout our organization hierarchy and levels. So this Oracle ACP fosters our collaboration across, and it supports planning across multiple sites within the global supply chain. And it also helps the organization to coordinate activities. Maybe we need to move items from one location to another location. So these optimization and coordination of activities can also be effectively managed in a timely manner using Oracle ACP. Now, Oracle ACP integrates various components of supply chain. So how this integration is going to help is something that is important. So ACP is integrating with demand management. So how this integration happens, what is being collected? So ACP pulls data from demand forecasts and actual customer orders to create a demand plan. So this integration will ensure that the supply plan aligns closely with the market demand. So that is very important. That means an organization should always have a plan which is matching with the market demand. So that data will be pulled using ACP from the demand management. Similarly, for collaborative demand planning, the data will be pulled between sales, marketing, and operation team. So it's not only from sales we are collecting data, it will be from the marketing team as well as the operation team. So that also will give us a exact demand plan. Once the demand plan is done, then we are having a supply planning. So in supply planning, the supply of materials will be aligned with the production plans. So we need a supply of materials to meet the demand. So the supply of materials will be aligned with the production schedule, and it also will consider the lead times, the inventory levels, so that the supply of materials will be constant throughout. Similarly, coming to inventory management, The inventory balances across the supply chain will be maintained. So ASAP will use that data to collect information and plan in optimizing the working capital while meeting the service levels. And coming into procurement and supplier management, which is very important because suppliers are the key partner who provides us with materials. So ASAP will also collect data from the supplier performance monitoring and supplier collaboration, because ASAP will also look into the fact that the quality details of the materials that has been supplied by the supplier, also the on-time delivery, because if the quality and on-time delivery of materials from a supplier is not good, then it is kind of a risk. Okay, so ASAP will analyze that risk and can give us alternative supplies or alternative solutions to adjust the supply for a particular demand. Similarly, sales and operation planning integration will help to align strategic business goals. So there will be always a strategic business goals for organization, and it will be aligned with the operational plans. So to meet this business goal, there will be an operational plan. So to meet that, the supply chain ACP will integrate with the S&OP process, and it will be capable of meeting long-term business objective. It is not only for a short term, it can be also for a long-term business objective while managing the day-to-day objectives as well. So this is how the Oracle ASAP features are managed. Now, there are some important prerequisites that we need to, kind of set up before using Oracle ACP, because this is something that is going to help us in successful operation. So to successfully implement and utilize Oracle ACP, the prerequisites should be done to ensure, okay, we should ensure that the system is properly configured and integrated with other components of Oracle EBS, and the necessary data and resources are available for effective planning. Okay. The first and foremost is the data preparation and accuracy. So data preparation and accuracy includes master data management, historical data, and importantly, clean and consistent data. So there will be an accurate and up-to-date master data, which is essential for effective planning. So this master data management can include data related to items, bill of materials, routing, suppliers, customers, and resources. So all these features and all these data are essential, and it is a stepping stone for the good operation of ACP. So this is critical, and there will be historical data. There should be sufficient historical data that is needed for a demand forecast. On the basis of historical data, we will be able to forecast the demands for a item. This can include sales history, the sales order data that is currently there, and other relevant transaction data, maybe some intercompany transactions. All these transactional data should also be considered in data preparation and accuracy. And all the data should be clean, consistent, and free from duplicates or errors, as inaccuracies in data will lead to wrong data being pushed, resulting in a complete failure of demand and supply. And important features is an integration to core modules. So utilization of inventory module, purchasing module, order management module, and manufacturing module is required so that all the data are in sync, all the demands get pulled together. ACP is able to collect data throughout the modules. So in inventory module, mainly ACP relies on inventory data to plan material requirements and manage the inventory levels. So inventory module should be a prerequisite for ACP. Similarly, purchasing module should be set up to handle procurement activities, to generate purchase orders, to generate internal requisitions. All this comes under a purchasing module. So purchasing module is another prerequisite. Then we are having order management module. it is used to manage the customer orders, from where basically the demand can be generated, resulting in a plan and schedule. So Oracle Order Management is a prerequisite. Similarly, manufacturing module is a prerequisite which should be configured to manage production activities. If an organization is doing production or manufacturing module should be there, because ASCP uses the manufacturing to plan production schedules as well as the resource utilization. So these data are collected by ASCP to provide us with a good supply chain plan. Another important prerequisite is the definition of resources and the capacity of these resources. So resources such as labor, machinery, tools can be defined in the system. This includes specifying capacities, availabilities, and some constraints that might impact production. That means if we are using any machineries, there will be some maintenance activities. So all these details should be captured so that the production will not get halted, resulting in a break in a supply and demand. So this is a prerequisite that we have for ACP related to some master data. We are having item related prerequisites. We have having a forecast head, and we will be assigning this forecast set to a forecast rule. Then the items will be assigned to a forecast rule. So these are the requisites. Then we are having a forecast quantity. So there should be a forecast quantity for the item. Then there should be a shipping network. This comes under inventory module. Shipping networks will be there between organizations. Shipping methods, what kind of shipping methods we should use, which can be used in Oracle OTM. Similarly, bill of distribution, from which organization to which organization. So for example, an organization will store the raw materials and ship to the manufacturing plant. So all these comes under the distribution. Similarly, an assignment set will be there, and the items that we have defined will be assigned to this business BOD, then to the assignment set. So once this is a prerequisite for Oracle ACP to work on. Now, I will take you through the ASCP process using a business use case. So it will be more understandable for everyone. So in this case, I'm using an example of a manufacturing plant where ASCP can be utilized. In the scenario, we are having multiple organizations. Central warehouse is an organization, manufacturing plant is an organization, hubs are also an organizations currently present in an entity. So how the process flow happens? See, the supplier always delivers the raw material to the central warehouse. So the central warehouse is acting as a primary inventory for raw materials. And the raw materials are transferred from central warehouse to the manufacturing plant based on production schedules. So whenever there is a production schedule with the calculation of lead times, the central warehouse, from the central warehouse, the raw materials will be moved to the manufacturing plant. The manufacturing plant will process the raw materials into a finished good. So once the production is complete, the finished good has been created, the finished good will be again transferred to a central warehouse. So this is how the process flow is happening. Central warehouse, and the central warehouse will hold this particular finished goods until they are needed in the regional hubs. So these are the hubs. We are having in this example 4 hubs. Okay. Then the finished goods will be shipped to the corresponding hubs from the central warehouse to various regional hubs based on the demand and inventory levels. So if there is a demand in hub 01 and the inventory level is below the safety limit, the central warehouse internal requisition will be created and the finished good will be transferred to the hub. And these hubs will serve as a regional distribution center, and from there the supply to customer happens. So as you can see, an order will be placed by the customer, which will create a demand. To meet this demand, the manufacturing plant will be having a work order generated based on the ASCP plan. To meet this supplier, this manufacturing requirement, we require a raw material. So based on the system generated requisition, which is automatically generated using the ASCP plan, suppliers will distribute the materials to the central warehouse. And the raw materials will be converted to the finished goods, and the finished good will be transferred to the corresponding hubs. So this is how a demand and supply is collaborated in ACP. Now we have seen how the process of materials is working, how the material flow is happening. Now let's see how ASCP is working to get this done. So we are having four major processes that ACP does. One is data collection and validation, one is demand planning, one is supply planning, another is a distribution plan. So the first step in the ACP process involves the data collection and validating the data across supply chain. So the ASCP collects historical sales data, customer orders, and forecasts from each hub. So there will be a demand for 1, 2, 3, and 4. So all these historical data, the customer orders, and forecasts will be collected to understand the demand pattern. For hub 1, it will be a different pattern. For hub 3, it might be a different pattern. So the demand patterns will be analyzed by ACP. Inventory levels, open purchase orders, production schedules are collected from the central warehouse, because in the central warehouse we'll be having purchase orders, inventory levels, and the production schedule. So once the product materials are available, that also will be calculated by Oracle ACP. And also ACP will gather the information on the manufacturing plan. So from manufacturing plan, the data they are collecting will be the production capacity, resource availability, and lead times. To fulfill the demand, these are the data and validation that is performed by ACP. Now, demand planning. So ACP will forecast, in this example, ACP will forecast the demand for finished goods at each hubs. Just like we told earlier, for each hubs, all the historical data, orders, and market trends will be analyzed to generate a demand. Similarly, all the demands will be consolidated. For each hubs, there will be demand. All these will be consolidated to create a comprehensive demand plan for the entire supply chain. So individual demand will be there, and consolidated demand for these materials also will be available. Next is the supply planning. With the demand plan in place, the ACP generates a supply plan. So once the demand is there, the next is supply plan. So ACP will calculate the raw material requirements based on the production plan and generate purchase requisition to the central warehouse. Similarly, ACP schedules production at the manufacturing plant, ensuring that the plant's capacity is utilized optimally to meet the demand for finished goods. Similarly, in supply planning, ACP will optimize the inventory levels at central warehouses and hubs to ensure there is enough stock to meet the demands. So these are the data collected for the supply planning. And the last is the distribution planning, where ACP will generate transfer orders from central warehouse to corresponding hubs to meet the demand. Similarly, ACP will also monitor the inventory levels at hubs as well as the central warehouse to maintain optimal stock level. And if it goes below or above the optimal stock level, it generates replenishment orders to fulfill that. So this is how ACP will operate and collect data to fulfill our entire order fulfillment cycle. Now coming to benefits of ACP. Many benefits are there for ACP. Mainly, we are having an improved demand forecasting and alignment, which provides us with an accurate demand forecasting and aligning the supply and demand. So ACP will enhance demand forecasting by using algorithms and historical data to predict future demands more accurately. So this will reduce, in a way, the risk of overproduction and stockouts. And it also lead to better inventory management and customer satisfaction. Another important benefit is the resource utilization. So there will be an optimized and enhanced resource utilization, because ACP optimizes the use of production capacity by considering resource constraints, just like I mentioned in the earlier slide, resource constraints, whether there are any scheduling conflicts or any labor or any machine issues, all this will be considered and the capacity will be optimized. So this will result in an efficient production schedule and it will also reduce the downtime. And it will also help in reducing the carrying cost and frees up the working capital, because always an optimal inventory level is kept, minimizing excess stock while ensuring the products are available whenever is needed. Then there will be an end-to-end visibility across the entire supply chain from procurement to delivery. And this will allow organization to monitor and manage their supply chain more effectively. So there will be an end-to-end visibility from procurement, all the stages that a material has gone until it reaches a customer. Similarly, the inventory levels will be optimized, which reduces the risk of obsolescence, as well as the capacity planning and supplier collaboration capabilities will help to reduce production cost by optimizing resource utilization and negotiating better with our suppliers. And improved order fulfillment. That means the order fulfillment cycle is getting improved because we are delivering the products on time. So ASAP will improve the fulfillment, providing accurate available to promised dates for sales order cycle based on real-time inventory and production data. This will lead to higher customer satisfaction and all orders will be fulfilled on time. Then for organization with global supply chains, ACP will optimize order fulfillment by considering multiple locations, transportation options, which will help to ensure that the orders are fulfilled efficiently and cost effectively. Now, scalability and flexibility. This is another benefit. Oracle ACP is scalable and is flexible. So ACP is designed to scale with the organization, making it suitable for all business. Whether the business is huge, whether the business is small, or whether the business is medium, Oracle ACP can be scaled throughout. It can handle multi-sites, it can handle multiple organizations, it can handle the complexity of all this organization structure. And Oracle ACP supports both constrained and unconstrained plannings, making it more flexible, and we can customize the solution to meet the specific needs and industry requirements. So increased customer satisfaction due to ACP's ability to optimize order fulfillment and inventory management, and it also aligns the supply chain activities with customer demand. And in turn, ACP will help organization maintain high service levels, even if the phase of demand fluctuations or supply chain disruption. So even if there is a demand fluctuation or supply chain disruption, Oracle ACP always maintains a high service level and optimal inventory level, which will in turn increase our customer satisfaction. Now, when we are using ACP, we should always keep in mind some of the best practices that we should follow. So while implementing Oracle ACP, it is a transformative step for an organization, which will enhance its ability to manage complex supply chain, optimize inventory, and meet customer demands. So first is to have a comprehensive planning and scoping. So there should be clear objectives that should be there. We should set measurable goals and align these goals to the business strategy. Next is a data preparation. We should ensure that the data accuracy and consistency is throughout. The data should be cleansed and validated. There should be a data governance team so that whenever there is a data related issue, that should be looked upon. Then there should be a centralized master data management to ensure consistency across all the supply chain systems. Then the configuration and customization. First and foremost, there should be always we should leverage the standard functionality first. Okay. We should minimize customization, and we should first test whether this particular standard functionality is going to suffice to the business requirement. If not, we can always think about the customization. Then we should always align the ASAP with the business process, such as production planning, procurement, and distribution. We should always align to the business process that is currently being followed in the organization. Next is training and change management. There should be a comprehensive training method for all the employees to ensure that the ASAP is completely utilized. There should be always a continuous improvement and monitoring. There should be regular review. There should be key performance indicator monitoring, and always stay updated with Oracle enhancements. Next is collaboration and communication, where cross-functional teams should always have a communication and collaboration to ensure the alignment throughout the process. And last but not the least, always leverage Oracle support for service guidance and best practices. Now let's quickly move to the instance where I will show how ASAP workbench will look like. So this is a workbench of a Oracle ACP instance. Here we have having multiple plans that has been generated. So for this example, I will just show a SNOP operational plan that is already there in the system. So here we can see the exceptions, supply and demand, resources, items, all these details will be available here. Now just coming into the exception. So the planner will be able to get an idea on the exception, where it might go wrong or what actions need to be taken for a particular item or material in this particular plan. So here we can see, okay, this is an exception that is happening. Sales order forecast is at risk due to resource shortage. So there is a resource shortage at organization D2. Due to this, the sales order is at a risk. So these kinds of informations are visible for the planner to take actions. Okay, so they are also able to see the resources that are applicable for this particular exception, and they will also able to see the supply and demand. Similarly, we can always see the supply and demand. What is the supply? How much is the demand for a particular date? So all these informations, what kind of order that is generated, whether it is a purchase requisition or whether it's a work order, all these details will be available in this workbench. So here you can see for this particular item, a work order is the order type. Similarly, we can see the items. What are the components? So for this particular item, what are the components? That also need to be there in a plan, right? So these are the components that we are using to create this particular product. So all these details to the minute level we'll be able to see from this particular workbench. Similarly, we are having operations. We can see the operations. We can see if there are any substitute items that we can use. All these details will be available in this particular workbench. And we can also see a horizontal plan, how a plan will look in a chart form. We are having a chart where the dates will be there. We can hide and show the graph. Now here we can see the demand. the dependent demand, how much is there, what is the gross requirement, how much quantity has been planned. Now we can see a project on hand. Since there is no quantity currently, like you can see, the beginning on hand is 0, right? So here the project currently the projected on hand is minus 1187. That means this is the current demand and supply. Now moving ahead, if you see here, planned orders is 10,960, but if you can see here, it is 12147. This happened because again there is no on hand currently. So the sum of these two will be the projected on hand in this scenario. Similarly, we will be able to see all the demand, gross requirement as per the plan we have set for each stage. So this is how a plan workbench look like. There are multiple functionalities that we can use using this particular workbench. We can always have a release property whenever we need to release our sales order or a work order. This is how we use a planner. A supply chain planner can use a ASAP workbench.
Thank you very much for that detailed walkthrough on the capabilities of advanced supply chain planning. Just for our listeners, while Oracle EBS has stopped selling value chain planning solutions such as 𝐷 and ACP, today's session was actually in response to our manufacturing customers requesting details about how ACP can assist them with planning their supply chains. ACP is being offered free of charge for Oracle OPM customers, and existing ACP customers can expand on their licenses. Knowing that effective supply chain planning is imperative to any organization, Oracle now offers the same solution capabilities through the Fusion Supply Chain Planning service offering. Integration between Fusion Supply Planning and EBS is available and can also be automated for maximum efficacy. We hope today's session was informative and you have key takeaways from this session. Please do reach out to us in case you have any questions on how to effectively utilize ACP for your organization, and we'd be happy to help you do the same. Please stay tuned for our future webinars planned for each month, and we hope to hear from you, and we look forward to hosting you again. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.